Hello everyone and welcome back to our Word 365 clone with PyQt5. If this is your first time watching this series, then the link to the full playlist is in the description below. You will also find a link to the source code and all other resources used in this tutorial. In this episode, we build functionalities for our own Copilot clone, our interactive chatbot. So let us get right into it. But before we begin, we need an API key from OpenAI. So if you don't have one, make sure you get it. And I'll show you how to get it soon. I have my own API key, which I have stored in this env.py. If I open it, you see that I have my OpenAI API key, and then my key is stored as a string here. But if you don't have a key, you can head on to platform.openai.com. Link will be in the description below. And then if you have an account, you can sign in. If you don't have one, you can sign up. And then after you are successfully logged in, you can come to personal or where you see your avatar and then view API keys. Here, if you have not created any key before, it will be blank. Whatever the case is, just click on create new secret key. A pop-up will come asking you for the name, and that particular name is optional. You can ignore it and go ahead and create the key. When the key is created, you can copy it, and then inside Python or inside PyCharm or whatever data you are using, you can come and paste the key back, and then we can start using it. Okay. But before we even come to this place, we will go to our functions.py and then write one function for the chatbot. This function, we will call it send to OpenAI. And then it will take in one argument data. And we want to put it in a try exception block. Maybe you can say chatbot error. Then E. Okay. But before we even do that, we forgot a very important step. We have to import a package called OpenAI. If you don't have it, as you can see, I do not have it. I can hover over it now and then install package OpenAI. It will work. You can also do pip install OpenAI, which will also work. Or you can also click on this your Python interpreter down there, and then you can choose interpreter settings. It will take you to this page, and here you can click on this plus icon to also add OpenAI. You can, after you select it, you can click on install and it will also do it for you. But since it's already installing for me in the background, I'll leave it this way. And you can see package installed successfully and OpenAI has been added. And then after it is added, what we do is we configure the OpenAI key, or we initialize the engine. So that's how we do it. Is OpenAI.API key, and that one should be equal to the key API key we created. So here we can also import the env, and then this one will be equal to env.openai API key. When we do it this way, Python will go and fetch the API key from the env.py file for us. so that we can go ahead with our function. We will create what we call a discussion, which will be equal to OpenAI dot completion dot create. We want to create a completion to the API, and then we pass in some parameters. The first one being the prompt, which should be equal to the data. The prompt is what we are sending to the AI, and then we choose an engine also. But for this purpose, we choose the Text DaVinci 002. And then the last one is the maximum tokens. Of course, there are other ones that we can specify. You can take a look at their documentation and then make this place as you want. But all that these ones that we are typing will also work very fine. So these are the ones we are specifying. As I said, you can take a look at their documentation and then add more. This one, if you have watched my video on building an AI voice assistant, you understand why we are doing all this. And the answer that will come from the API, we can store it in this answer variable and say is discussion dot and then choices. It will come as a the response is not just the answer we are looking for. It's a lot of things, but we can access it using there's a list called choices, and then inside the choices we can access the text from the choices. That is the answer we are looking for. But if you want to know how the discussion list look like, or the discussion or the response look like, you can just print the discussion to the terminal. You see how it looks like. There's a choices list somewhere. It's a dictionary. Then we can now access the text part of the choices dictionary. So we now want to return the answer so that we can use it wherever we want to use it. So that'll be all for this part. We can come to our main.py and then continue from there. Okay, our very first chatbot function will be the one that sends the request. So we can say df and then here, because I've already imported the file, the functions file, you don't need to import it again. So content, getting the contents that will now feed into the API. So self dot. This one, we're not getting it from the text edit, we are getting it from the prompt, or what I think we call it self dot prompt. Yes. This part, if I cannot run this file now. I think it will work if I do run it. Let me run it and see. Okay, when we open our chatbot, this part is what the text from this part that says tell me something is what we are getting. And the name is called prompt. So self.prompt.to plain text dot strip. We want to strip it of all white spaces. And then after that, we can now, in another try except block. I think that one is redundant. Okay, it's not redundant. We can Here we can now create a variable called reply, which will be equal to send to OpenAI, which is the function we created in the other file, and then we can then pass in content as the data. And then now whatever will come out, we want to now insert it into the other part of the chatbot, the editor down there that receives the answer that which we give to the bot. So self.bot answer, I think we call it bot answer, or maybe answer for short. Reply. Let me check. Okay, we call it self.response. So self.response dot insert plain text, and then now we can insert the text that is coming from the API. So reply dot strip. But here, let us first of all clear it before we insert the text. Self dot. Okay, so this one should work. It should work without any error. We can try it out and see, but before, let us connect it. For a button, it is clicked, not triggered. And you do need an internet connection for this, so be sure you have an internet connection. So we're asking it what is 1 plus 1, and then we click send. Depending on the speed of your internet and some other factors, this one may take some time. I think this is taking too long. Let's see whether we have an error. Okay, we have an error saying that non-object has no attribute strip, which is coming from chatbot error, which is inside this functions.py file. And it appears it's actually coming from here. Okay. Let's try and then also import make this import this configuration in here and see. Okay, so we have an error in the argument. It says it does not recognize the argument, the max token argument. So let us go and then fix it straight away. it should be at this side. And then it's max underscore tokens. Sorry for the oversight. So this one hopefully should work. But I don't know that I don't know whether we have to now delete what we copied to the other file. Hopefully this one should work for us. Okay, it worked, but not the reply we were looking for. I think this should be in another language trying to tell us how to print hello world or something like that. Let's say what is 1 plus 1. Now we send this request again, and then it comes like 1 plus 1 is 2. So it is working as we wanted it to. So let us go back and then build the other part. But I don't think this redundant. Let's leave it here for now. Once we know it works, the OpenAI import here, not this one. This one. I think it's redundant. Let me run it again just to confirm that it works without the import being here. If it doesn't work, then we bring it back. Okay, it works without this one being here, so that is fine. The next set of functions we want to create, if I should close this side panel, is the paraphrasing. Remember, we have action, paraphrase, and all that in there. So this one I'll give a comment here, like not comment the function. Now there should be also a way to insert the answer also into the chatbot. So insert bot request. Here also in a try except block, so I can do myself good by copying this, and I think the content wouldn't be that different. Yeah, that this one will be data, which will be equal to the self.prompt. Yeah, to plain text. So we want to get the one that is inside the answer that came from the API. And then we can, no, not a prompt, self.response. Named it response. And then after getting this one, we insert into the text editor. Yeah, that is all for this function. So we can also write functionalities for the paraphrase and then the summarize. Can define paraphrase. And then again inside the try except block, is that this one will say paraphrase error. But here we will send a request to the API. So the selected text, from the text editor is what we want to get. That one we get it by saying self.textEdit dot text cursor dot selected text, but we still want to strip it before we send it out. So this is how we get the selected text from the text editor. After we get it, then we can write our own query, but this will be an F string. We use the okay. And in here we can say, like we give some small description to our text before giving it to the API. So paraphrase the text below. And then in here we can now insert selected text. So this will get whatever selected text is and then give it to the API for us. So here after that we can now also call. I like to mostly strip all of these things so that to get rid of all white spaces. And after getting this one, what we want to now do is to send it to the API. Reply equal to send to OpenAI, and then we are sending data. When this data comes back, what we want to do is self.textEdit.insert plain text, and then we want to insert the reply. But this one, when this happens, it will replace whatever that was selected before. And as usual, strip. But we don't really need try for this operation, so I think it can come up here rather. We don't need try for it, selecting the text. Yeah. And so let us also, the summarize is just the same as this. So I can just copy this and then paste it down here. And instead of paraphrase, I'll change this to summarize. And then here too, I'll say summarize and change this one to summarize. Okay, what is wrong with this? Okay, so now we can connect all our functions and then try them out and see. Self.insert push button dot click. This is the push button that will take the reply from the whatever is in the reply box or the reply that came from the API and then give it into our text editor for us. So that one is self.insert bot request. And then self.action paraphrase dot triggered dot connect. We want to connect it to self.paraphrase text. And then the next one will be action summarize. Okay. We want to connect it to summarize text. Okay, so that's all we need to build a chatbot. And in case we open some file, let me open a file. Not this one. Okay. And you can ask it to tell us a childhood story. Okay, so now it's saying that this is the childhood story. I didn't paste it there, it came from the API. So I can, when I click the insert, it will insert it at the current cursor position for me. I don't want to insert it twice, so I will undo and then insert this one once. I can also, in the same manner, select this text it has given me and then come to assistant and say paraphrase text. Depending on the speed of my internet and other factors, should paraphrase it for me in a bit. Or maybe it's not paraphrasing it. Let me see if we have an error. We don't have an error. That means maybe it's actually done paraphrasing it or something like that. And then let's click on summarize. And then you can see that it summarized it for us into 2 sentences. That is the functionality for the chatbot. We can also, let me see, say write a cover letter for a junior developer. Then we can now send to our API, and then it wrote the cover letter to whom it may concern, blah, 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 blah. So that is it for the AI part or the chatbot part of our Word 365 clone. I hope you have enjoyed it, and in the next tutorials we look at how we build an about part and then some developer parts. So that will be all for this video. No, it has been an interesting one. Thank you for your time. Give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and then consider subscribing if you are new. I'll see you another time with another tutorial. Bye-bye.